Monaco 64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. It's Wednesday, March 11, 2020. I have the pleasure to speak with Jason Cozens. He's the CEO and founder of Glint Pay. Good afternoon, Jason. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mario. I'm fine. Yeah, thank you very much.
So we finally got to speak together. We've been planning this for a while. So a lot of my viewers want to know a little bit more about Glint and what happened last year, of course. So I'm going to start with the first question here. Basic question. If you could tell us about Glint Pay and why gold is a currency for the new viewers, people who haven't heard about Glint.
Sure, Mario. Well, in the last financial crisis in 2008, actually, I was watching the television and watching Lehman Brothers go down and watching banks in the north of England here go down, for instance, Northern Rock. And I think, like many, it was the first time that I appreciated that a bank was not a safe deposit of funds. It was the first time I realized that when you put the money in the bank, of course, it ceases to be yours. The bank lends it out and puts it at risk, fundamentally, supposedly in return for some kind of yield or interest. And for me, I was thinking, well, there's got to be a better way of storing my money. And again, like others, I think it also got me thinking about why is it money that depreciates in ways that are outside of my control? Why is it that money doesn't buy me what it used to? In 1970, a cheeseburger would have cost you or I 55 cents. In the US, and in 2018, the same cheeseburger cost $3.47, and that's what US annual average inflation has done to the US dollar. Whereas conversely, in 1970, a gram would have bought you 2 cheeseburgers, and today a gram would enable you to purchase 12. So yeah, it's. I was thinking about that destructive effect of inflation and the way the monetary system works on our money, and I thought there's got to be a better way of this working. And I discovered, of course, like many that you have and many of your viewers, that gold is the ultimate store of wealth. It has been for thousands of years. It's retained its purchasing power and still buys you what it did 2,000 years ago. The problem with gold, physical gold, of course, since we came off the gold standard, is that it's stuck in a vault and it can't enable me to buy a coffee, for instance, and use it in electronic payments. And so that's really what I set out to do. I wanted everybody to have the same opportunity to prosper. And that in order to do that, we needed to bring a reliable form of money to the world. A lot of people have been looking at this, obviously some people in the crypto space. But my view is that anything whose nature is defined by human beings is subject to corruption. But of course, gold is created when 2 neutron stars collide, and so its nature can't be corrupted. So we set out to bring a reliable form of money to the world by enabling physical gold that's stored in a vault to be used as money in electronic payments. So Glint is a fintech business that allows you to buy, sell, exchange and spend physical gold along with other currencies, actually, through the Glint debit card and the app, which is available on the iPhone and the Android operating systems. So we've created money's new standard, we believe, so to speak. We've currently got tens of thousands of clients in 33 countries, including the US, the UK, and Europe.
Thank you, Jason, for that introduction. Now the part that a lot of my viewers want to hear about, maybe the new viewers will probably be interested as well, if they're looking to get a Glint card or an app. Just to let you guys know, I do have a referral code with Glint. It's called Mario Glint 79. But before we go further, I'd like to ask Jason to tell the viewers what happened last year. I think it started September and it lasted until November when Glint went into administration. Can you explain to us what really happened?
Sure. It's been described by many as probably the most hostile takeover attempt possible. We were approached by a company last June with some overtures to buy Glint, but we were very confident about our growth plans. We were very excited about launching in the US, so we declined those overtures. But they found out that we had a loan, even though that loan wasn't due to be paid until this year. And I hear they bought it at a premium. And all interest and fees on that loan had been paid in advance by Glint. So there was no possibility of any financial default, and there certainly wasn't any possibility of any yield on that loan. But they proceeded to then attack us with claims of information rights defaults. So these were all disputed by Glint. And what do I mean by information rights defaults? Well, they claimed that under this loan that they bought, that for instance, they had the right to attend board meetings, for instance. And well, we hadn't even had a board meeting, nor did we have one planned at the time. That just gives you an example of flavor for this. Anyway, under UK law, they were able on the 18th of September to appoint administrators to our UK companies. Not our US company, by the way, and that with the loan that they had, and with the debenture, and with their claims of default, which we again still dispute to this day. I mean, that should have been the end of Glint, but we decided that we wouldn't just be bullied into this or let things go. So we fought them. The team all came together and stayed strong. Nobody left the company. We managed to raise £6 million from investors over the 6-week period, and in a rare feat exited the administration solvently, and we lived to tell the tale.
Yes, and during that administration, I guess, unfortunately, clients' funds and gold were frozen, right? Can you explain why that happened?
Yeah.
If it could happen again?
Yeah, I mean, Mario, I think that, strength is built through adversity, and it's certainly not something I wish upon anybody, but it has proven that we've got resilience and we've got strength within the business, within the team, and within our processes. We do dispute the administration to date, and we've put measures in place so that it can't win it, to stop it happening again. Glint is overseen by the FCA, so that that's to ensure that we have adequate capitalization at all times, that our processes and systems work. And I'm very pleased that those systems and processes proved to be optimum during this administration. I mean, many people say to most precious metals related businesses, what would happen if you ever went into administration or anything like that? Well, we've been through administration. We have few companies that have ever gone through it and come out the other end. And all of our systems proved to be working fine. I mean, all client funds that are held in our segregated and safeguarded accounts, and all the gold holdings were proven to be good. They stood up to very rigorous forensic audits during the process that we went through. Actually, as one of the safeguards for this process, it was Lloyds Bank, where our clients' segregated and safeguarded fiat currencies are held, that froze those accounts. That meant that our system had to be paused during that administrative process. But I'm glad that we could show that all metal and all funds were good at all times.
So in the US, nothing happened to the business there, right? Because it was only the UK business that was under administration.
Yeah.
Good. So we put that question to bed. So we can go on. Next question is, what are some new products GlintPay is working on? And I think you've got an exciting one to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, here at Glint, we're always optimizing and trying to improve our apps. And so there's a whole raft of things that, small things that we're doing on a weekly basis and making tweaks to the platform. I mean, for instance, it's not just the platform, it's the company as a whole. So just as an example, at the moment, we've been looking at our processes and systems And you know, what do we do with this coronavirus that's sweeping around the world and might be becoming a pandemic as defined by the usual definitions. But we, for instance, have got all of our employees working from home at the moment today as I speak. So we've been testing this anyway at previous times, and we've been doing more testing over the last few weeks. And at the moment, for instance, staff are working from home 3 out of the 5 days of the week. Our systems are perfectly capable now of running with everybody in the whole company working in isolation. So that's just one small example, I think, of how we really want to hold reliability at the heart of everything that we do. And we're always looking at ways to improve that. But I mean, other little bits of functionality on the app will soon have downloadable statements. So at the moment, you can request a statement, a PDF statement, to be sent to you by our client services team. That will be available inside the app. And the big thing we've been looking forward to is the launch of our peer-to-peer system. So this is the ability for any of our clients to be able to send gold and other currencies to each other as easy as sending a text. So really, this is at the point where Glint isn't just disrupting or you know, an alternative to banking and money, but actually to the payment system itself. So to start off with, we're looking to the ability to, for instance, one person, one Glint customer, to be able to send gold or other currencies to another Glint client, as long as they've got a mobile phone and the internet's working. And in the future, we look to be able to enable you to send gold or currencies to anybody you've got a telephone number on. Of course, those people will still have to sign up to Glint and go through our anti-money laundering and know your customer checks, because Glint is working very much with all the different regulators around the world at all times to make sure we're compliant with their standards.
So basically, I'll be able to pay someone with gold and not go through the fiat system. Do you think the powers that be will allow that to happen? Have you checked the legal and compliance? I know there shouldn't be any reason for them to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that you've got to understand that we've taken the decision very, very early on to be to embrace regulatory frameworks and oversight in every country that we're issuing accounts in. You'll notice that when I said at the beginning we're issuing accounts in 33 countries, you know, we won't issue accounts at the moment into Canada, for instance, because we haven't got that set up with the regulatory authorities over there. But so I can't, you know, as far as making sure everyone's happy about what we're doing, then we're doing everything we possibly can to do that. But I can't work out what governments are going to do in the future. We do offer delivery of physical gold to clients if that's what they want, so they can have some at home. We've chosen Switzerland to be the first vault in which client gold is held, and that's traditionally a gold-friendly country. But yeah, I mean, we're super excited about peer-to-peer. I think that my feeling is that, and certainly some of the feedback we've had from clients is that it's going to be immediately of great use for people. Just certainly gifting gold, gifting the gift of gold at Christmas, people's birthdays, Indian Festival of Light, Diwali, or Chinese New Year. I can see that really capturing a lot of people's imagination, even people who maybe not necessarily have thought about buying gold before. But I agree with you, the exciting thing for me is this ability to make payments for gold, you know, for us to use it as a medium of exchange outside of the traditionally existing financial system. That for me is really what this has all been about.
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting. So another question, what are Glint's goals and your goals in terms of expanding around the world?
So we've managed to do quite a big feat, which is to get regulatory capability to issue accounts in 33 countries. So I think we've got a lot to do to double down and take advantage of that landscape. Although we are nearly ready to launch, hopefully in Japan soon. And we do have ambitions for other countries, especially in Asia, where technically, actually, we're already integrated into the card payments infrastructure, for instance, in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. But first things first, we're at the moment just concentrating on the UK and the US.
Great. What about Australia and New Zealand? Any?
Well, I mean, I think the technical work we've done for integrating into Southeast Asia should allow us, once we've got our issuing regulations sorted out, enable us to issue into those countries too.
Great. What about silver? Many of my viewers ask about Glint and whether you're going to provide silver as a currency. I know in the UK we've got the VAT, but in the US they don't have VAT.
Yeah, I mean, we built Glint to be currency agnostic. Actually, we could make a coffee bean currency if we wanted. But I think that we don't want to confuse the proposition. It's difficult enough when we go out to the world and try and explain what we do and say we're a gold currency, but we can also spend, for instance, US dollars as well on our platform and use it as a normal debit product with fiat. In Europe, you can actually store and save in euros and dollars and pounds as well as gold. And to add other different types of wallets onto our platform might just confuse the proposition. So for the time being, we're just leaving it as it is, but we can bring silver and other products onto the platform in time. I'd love to hear more from your customers about how they feel about that. And at the end of the day, we're a customer-centric company, so we'll be always happy to listen to what their needs are. But I think, at the end of the day, for me, gold is the ultimate form of money. Rightly or wrongly, I believe that maybe silver was, introduced as money simply as a kind of a convenience around the fact that gold was such small amounts of denominations of payments would be difficult with gold, and so silver was introduced. With Glint, of course, you can buy as little as 1 cent or 1 penny's worth of gold on our platform, and you can spend it in tiny amounts too. So I think we've got rid of that impediment. And I just think it's the ultimate form of money.
Yeah, me too. With my US viewers, a lot of them are concerned about gold confiscation. Is that something they should be worried about? I know the gold is at the moment stored in Switzerland.
Yeah, I mean, I think when gold was last confiscated, I think the world was a very different place. And in fact, as you know, the gold price was linked to the dollar. And so actually, when you talk to people, historians, about what happened at the time, it wasn't such a big issue for many because they didn't see it much of a loss. Of course, the gold price was then untethered to the dollar later on. And now we live in a different world. So I'm not sure whether they would do that again. Of course, I can never tell what governments are going to do. But again, I go back to what I was saying before. We're doing our very best all the time to make sure that we comply with all government regulations. I think some of our customers as well, should have some gold at home. We enable the delivery of some of their physical gold back to their home. We do our best to keep it vaulted in countries that have a very friendly disposition to gold too. But that's as far as we can go.
So to finish off, last question. It's a controversial subject amongst a lot of the viewers. Some of them are, how can I say, not as flexible. They'd rather hold physical gold instead of, how can I say, storing it with a third party. Can you tell our viewers your feeling about physical gold and why they should maybe trust a third party like Glint?
Yeah, sure. As I've said, Mario, I think that everyone should have some physical gold in their possession. But the reality is, whether we like it or not, we live in a world of electronic payments. And I believe that money should be something not just for saving, but also as a medium of exchange. And that money should be a reliable form of money. So Glint does that. Glint brings a more reliable form of money to everybody in the world. It enables you to protect your ready money from inflation, the destructive effects of inflation, and from systemic risk. So I encourage all of your viewers and subscribers to at least give it a try and download the app.
Where can they learn a little bit more about GlintPay before going to get an app?
So if you actually look on the app stores of both Android Google Store and also the Apple iPhone Store, then there's if you search for Glint Pay, there is information on those pages before you download it. We've also got our website, glintpay.com, which has got information and frequently asked questions there. But it doesn't cost anything to open an account. You can download the account and within a few minutes be registered, and we can have one of the Glint cards with you within a few days. So give it a try and give us some feedback. You know, always very happy to listen to our customers.
Great. Thank you very much, Jason, CEO and founder of GlintPay. It was great talking to you and also getting the whole story of what happened last year. I think people wanted to know that. And I hope to speak with you in the near future.
Thanks for inviting me on to your video, Mario, and look forward to speaking to you soon.
Take care. Thank you.